I am so happy to be here today with Nima and present and highlight the Tanzania program. As it came up over every presentation yesterday, Sub-Saharan Africa is a huge potential future pocket of demand for the Council, and I'm just happy to be able to highlight what we're doing in Tanzania, which is going to, it's the Council's first step back into Sub-Saharan Africa from back in the 90s. So it just shows what can be and what the future holds. So before I get into, Nima's going to give us a little overview of her farm and also her perspective on how the industry in Tanzania has changed as a result of the Council's work there. But before I get into that, Chip gave a very brief introduction of what the project is. I'm going to give a little bit more in depth of a summary of what we're doing there. So to start, in early 2014, the Council started its Tanzania Food for Progress program, which is a 4-year grant by USDA to develop the commercial poultry and feed industry in Tanzania. And we do this through 3 main activities. The first is association development. We are working with feed millers associations and poultry producers associations and support the development of the National Poultry Association of Tanzania, which is seen here in the picture with other major associations from around Sub-Saharan Africa. Our second activity is training programs. We have 2 local consultants in Tanzania that do local seminar trainings within Tanzania, and then we also send groups of participants down to South Africa for hands-on on the farm training. And this is actually a training that Nima has participated in early 2015, so she'll be able to speak a little bit more about that and what she learned there. Third is development of the Central Veterinary Laboratory. The CVL is what we call it for short, is the main feed quality lab of the Department of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries in Tanzania. And our support there is, we want to ensure the sustainability of the lab, and we do this through a lot of training of the staff, as well as providing them updated equipment and supporting them in efforts such as building their business plan. And those 3 activities that I noted, the CVL development, association development, and training programs, they all work to support one another. So one aspect of this and one example of this is the CVL. So it provides reliable testing of feed quality ingredient and feed quality itself. And then the training programs, they explain the why to the poultry producers and feed millers. Like, why is it important for us to understand what is inside of our feed? And the associations, they ensure that the proper regulations are put into place for the industry needs. The Grains Council's office, as Chip noted, we have one office there, Mary Ungalaba, and one office manager there, our office is in Dar es Salaam, which is the main commercial city center in Tanzania. And so our program, that means that it's the #1 consumption area and the #1 production area of poultry in Tanzania. So our program focused mainly there to start, and just recently we've started doing training programs beyond that in other high production areas such as Arusha in the north and west and south. To give just a very broad overview of what the market is in Tanzania for poultry currently, the current poultry per capita consumption is only 90 eggs and 4.4 pounds of poultry meat, which is much less than that of a developed nation such as the United States. However, as it was noted many times again yesterday, their GDP growth rate is 7%. Their economy is growing, their income is growing, their middle class is growing. And as that is happening, their consumption of eggs and poultry meat is the #1 protein source that they're starting to demand. And to give you a perspective on the size of their population and their farms, they're broilers and layer farms. The broilers are those grown for the meat, and layers, those grown for the eggs, are much smaller than, again, that of the United States, but that's very reflective of what their current consumption is and also what the average size is. So their average farm size is only 100 to 500 layers and 100 to 1,000 broilers. However, we have Nima here today, and Nima has defied these odds. She has a layer farm of 3,000 birds. And so she's here today to talk about how she's been able to have this incredible success. So welcome, Nima.
Thank you very much to be here with you, good people. My farm is located in coastal region. It's not very far from Dar es Salaam. It's a 4-acre farm. And in there I have 5 poultry houses. 2 of them are bigger and the 3 are smaller one. So those 5 poultry houses can occupy those 3,000 layers chick. And the production percent is, up to this moment, is 85%, which is good for me. Yeah. And then, as you can see, that's the picture of my farm. And those are my chicks. At that moment, the doctor was giving the vaccination, coryza vaccination, which we are trying to treat those chickens so that we can prevent the disease transmission. Yeah.
So Nima, she has 3,000 layers on this farm. She has, how many houses do you have?
5.
She has 5 houses. Yeah. They're all free range like this. Mm-hmm. And she's done a lot of improvements, and we'll go through them now. But first of all, how did you get to where you are today to 3,000 layers?
Yeah, in 2008, I bought this 4-acre farm, and I put there 100 layers chick. By that time, I was studying my degree at the University of Agriculture. So in 2012, when I finished my studies, I was looking for a job. By that time, my husband was working as a manager in our logistic company. So I went there and worked with him. But as the time goes, my husband and I, we discussed, why don't we improve that farm? So we come to the conclusion that I go there and manage that site. So I went there and I built another, the first one, which was occupying 100 chicken, was smaller one. Then I built another one which occupied 100,000 broilers. So I started with broilers. As the times goes, veterinary doctors advised me not to keep layers chicken and broilers chicken at the same farm because of disease transmission. So I decided to remain with only layers. But the staffs who I was having, they were unfaithful. So I removed those staffs and employed another staff, and I ordered another batch of 3,000 layers chicks. So as the times goes, when they reach the production period, these 3,000 layers chick, they started dying. There I saw, there was where the music started. I saw different colors I could never imagine because of the motility rate. So it was a total blow for me, for the money I injected in keeping them from day 1 up to 18 weeks, and now they are starting to die. So it was a total blow for me. What I decided, the remaining chicks, I decided to sell them and recover some money. So before I I proceed to order another batch, I sat down and think a little bit. Instead of crying like a baby, I tried to think way forward. What should I do? Because it's a lot of money. If you are messing up, then the business will be closed. So I came up with the idea of writing a business plan, so that from the business plan I identified some risks, and I came up with different solutions. And there I was comfortable. I also, from the business solution, there came the idea of putting even the CCTV cameras so that I can remove the problem of unfaithful employees. So from there is where I ordered another batch, and the chicken which I'm having up to this moment is the one which I ordered those.
So you ordered 3,000 after this. You had created your business plan, you ordered a new 3,000, and then...
Because I was having 1,000, and after I sold this, the remaining chicks, the money I recovered, I ordered 2,000. So
okay.
When you combine 2,000 and 1,000, you get 3,000 total.
And out of that business plan that you created your own brand, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about?
Yeah, from the business plan is where you come up the market analysis and sales strategies. So one of my strategies to sell in supermarket, my product into supermarket, apart from the wholesalers and retailers and the bakeries and canteen, different food chains there, I was having the strategy of selling to supermarket. There was where the branding came from.
So in Tanzania, having a brand is something very unique. A lot of people, when they're trying to sell their eggs, they're usually going to middlemen, they're going directly to hotels, having a brand and selling your eggs in cartons such as this. This is in the pictures, there's 15 and 6. And selling those at supermarkets is very unique. So what challenges did you come across in creating your brand?
Yeah. Because when you want to sell your product into supermarkets, when I went there, they told me if you want to sell your product here, you need to bring the documents. So those documents, when they listed down, they said you need to have the memorandum of understanding, tax identification number, license, and even the product should have barcode. So, and the plastic pack. So I went to one of the U.S. grain consultants, when they asked him, so he advised me where I can meet those website designers so they can assist me in designing labels and the logo and whatever. So the problem was the egg pack, the plastic one. Though we have the plastic industry in Tanzania, but they don't produce this egg pack. So we are getting it from our neighboring country there. So I went through the thing and I registered my company, and I got those license, and I went to the place where they give this barcode. So from there I started to sell in the supermarket, and I have 3 pack and 15 pack and 30 pack. All have got different prices.
And moving it towards your production side, what challenges have you had in the past with your production management and other issues?
Yeah, with the challenges, in these industries, one of them is the poor quality chick. We don't have, we have invested there, but the quality of their chick is still low, and even the quality of the feed. We thank U.S. Grain right now. They have provided the equipment into our government laboratory, so that the feed millers and even the farmer can go there and measure the feed which they are using, so that they can have choices. Another thing, another challenge, the high prices of medication. Right now they have resistance to different disease, and also the institution, the money institution, the bank institution, they cannot offer you a loan with the grace period, because you know when you are keeping this layers chick, it takes up to 6 months till they start the production, their first egg, they start laying. So you need to have the loan with the grace period, so that you can start repayment after you've seen the production. Those are the challenges.
And as I noted in the beginning, we have training programs in South Africa that Nima has participated in. Here's her. She's at Ukebe Farm, which is a layer farm in Tanzania, where they're able to go and work on the farm for a full week. So I just want to ask if are there any techniques that you've learned during your training on the farm that you've been able to bring home to your production?
One of the technique which I learned there, I learned a lot, but one of it is the treatment of the water, the drinking water for my chicken. I used to take the water direct from the government water supply to the poultry house. But right now, I take the water from the water supply of the government, then I centralized the water system. I put in one tank and I treat that water, then I pump it into the poultry houses. Another thing which I learned is the flushing of the pipes in the poultry houses, so that when I was in South Africa, I asked the manager there, how do you flushing because there are many, if you are providing vitamins to these chickens, there could be things which have been left in the pipes, so you need to clear them out. So I went there to Tanzania and I asked the plumber so he can fix the flushing system. Right now, that's one also I've implemented. And another thing is the nest, egg nest, chicken egg nest. The one which I was having was very tiresome. The one which after coming from South Africa, I designed the egg nest like the one I saw there.
So you've been able to bring a lot back.
Yeah, a lot. Even the manure removal, I used to take the manure from the poultry house 3 to 4 months. So the manager there told me, you don't have to remove this manure because you can keep that manure until you want to sell your chicken for 2.5 years. So that's what I'm doing right now, because when you are removing the manure, the disease transmission, the mortality will occur, and even production will go down.
So bringing this back out, so this has been how Nima's directly been impacted on the programs, but bringing this out to the Tanzania industry as a whole, I wanted to tell a little bit of a story of my first time. So in 2013, we were doing our first research, trying to assess the market for this program that we have now. And I sat down the first morning, I got my eggs for breakfast, I took my first bite, and I hate fish. So I took one bite and all I tasted was fish. and I was turned off of eggs then. So afterwards, we went around to make connections, and we went to one small feed miller there and learned that poultry producers had a demand for feed that had whole fish inside of it. So the quality of the fish is extremely coarse, and then they would take the feed that they've ground and then put the whole fish inside of the feed, and that was the feed for the poultry. Because in their mentality, the fish was the main protein source, so the fish, if they can see the fish, then they know it's good quality feed. However, this also meant that the chicken could not eat properly, because a chicken can't eat can't get all of the nutritional value throughout the whole feed when it's such a coarse consistency. But through our work, we've changed the industry's perspective, the poultry industry's perspective, and that has also changed the feed miller's perspective on what quality feed is. And now we have over 80% of the feed produced within Tanzania that is quality, ground, CVL tested feed, and it's a huge success. So, Nima, from your perspective, you've been there on the ground, and you were previously using this type of feed. How have you seen this change over the past 3 years?
Yeah, the feed millers have tried to improve, because they are also gaining training from U.S. Grain Council, and they also trying to mix the soybean meal and the fish meal a little bit. So because they want to use the soybean meal completely instead of the fish meal, because the soybean meal is low in moisture content, and the low in microorganisms like bacteria, mold, and virus that are not there, and they cannot even impart the fish flavor in the end products like chicken, meat, and the eggs. But the problem is the availability of the soya fish meal is low. And when they import, they are needed to pay tax. So they pay tax on the imported fish meal, they pay tax on the finished product. So when it's come to the price of their feed increases. That's why they are mixing this half fish meal, half soya bean. But they have improved, as you have said.
So as you noted, that you've made a great point. We have just recently, the government put in place an 18% value-added tax on the cost of feed. So this is a huge blow to the feed industry there currently, and they're struggling to get through it. But that's also cues into another aspect of our program, which is the Poultry Association of Tanzania, and we've supported the development of this umbrella association to represent the industry needs and push for ensuring that proper regulations are in place. And underneath this umbrella, there are two new associations coming into play, and one is the Layers Association, and Nima is actually the vice chairman of this newly organized association. So why did you decide to get involved in this association?
Yeah, I'm glad they have appointed me as the vice chairperson. So I believe the association, Layers Association, will be our ground to express our problems, to ask questions, we can argue there so that we can go hand in hand, these feed millers and the farmers even the breeders. We can go together because we depend each other. The breeders depend on the farmers, and the farmers depend on the feed millers. So we need to go in the right direction. So I'm glad we can use that as our platform to express our different problems.
And back to you, what are your future aspirations for your farm?
Yeah, I'm planning to have another farm, maybe 1 or 2, so that I can keep this. In our country we don't have the company which are selling point of lay chicken. So we farmers, we need to keep the chicken from day one. So we need to know a lot of things, vaccination, or the management in general. So I'm planning to buy another farm, so there I can keep this day-old chicken up to 18 weeks, so that I can shift to the other farm which have got the big layers, so that I can reduce disease transmission. Also, I'm planning to increase the number of flocks, because as you know, in any business, quantity matters a lot. Even if you are getting lowest profit, you can get huge profit if you have a large number of chicken. So I'm planning to increase the number of chicken. I'm also planning to produce liquid egg white, liquid egg yolk, so that I can increase the shelf life of my products. And I'm also planning to produce my feed, my own feed, because the cost of operation, it costs even 75% goes to the feed. So when I will produce my own feed, the cost will be a little bit low.
So you just highlighted that you plan on growing, expanding, you see value-added products for the future. So that's for your farm, but what do you see as the future outlook for the market as a whole? Obviously expansion if you're growing your own.
Yeah, there is huge potential there. As we have seen when Anne was explaining about the per capita consumption is very low. So we need to work very hard so that we can increase the consumption level. And even the farmers, they have got knowledge, so that they are starting to increase the number of flocks from 500. They keep even, like me, 3,000. I started with 100 layers. Then right now I have 3,000 layers. So even other farmers are increasing their chickens. Another thing, they are using cages. They are trying to use this new innovation, like cages, so that in cages you can do proper monitoring. You can even count your chicken in a day, so that you will know the number of chicken you have and minimize these unfaithful stuffs which you are having. Even the feed millers have improved. They are starting to produce pellets feed. Though the pellets feed is high in prices, but it's good. I've seen my fellow there using the pellets feed, and she said the production rate can go up to 95% compared to the mash feed.
And that's a huge change from the market when we started. When we started, there were no pellet machines in Tanzania, and now there's, I believe, 6. So just overall, the market as the market's growing, they're pushing these new technologies. They're pushing forward the new innovations and really expanding. So I just want to say thank you, Nima, for explaining your story.